Good afternoon. It is March 12th. This is episode 71 of Three Things with Ian. On today's episode, we are talking about memory. I'm going to give you an idea, a concept called the memory palace. We will talk more. Daylight savings. I wasn't going to weigh in. I will weigh in. I'll give you my 2 cents, more like a nickel at this point. And I want to share with you my dream for the future of passwords and computers. I want to share a crazy idea and see if it sticks. All right, so let's dive into the episode. The first thing is I think about memory a lot. I think about a lot of things a lot. Maybe too many things too often. One of the things is mnemonic devices, memory, why it is so hard sometimes to remember a 4-digit number, whereas you're able to recite, Cal Ripken Jr.'s batting average in 1984. Memory's a weird and strange thing, and it occupies a special place in my collective consciousness. There's a podcast and a book called The Memory Palace, and it's actually a concept that I want to share with you. A memory palace is a memory technique that uses visualization to help you remember information. It's also called the method of loci, LOCI, which is Latin for place, location, right? Or mind palace. It's called several different things. And what it is at its base level, it's a technique where you can memorize a lot of information using a time-tested and doctor-approved technique. It involves mentally placing information to be remembered in specific locations within an imagined physical space. So think of an actual palace. Think of the 50 bedrooms of a palace. You close your eyes and you can build this palace in your head, right? Or it could be a route through a neighborhood where you can visualize your neighbor's house and his house and her house and so and down the avenue. So you choose a location. Let's say you are building yourself a palace with all these different rooms. You visualize the space, and then you associate items or specific topics with specific places in the space. So, for example, I might associate blue with blue bedding to help you remember the phrase in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Or if I'm trying to memorize the order of playing cards, I have 7 of spades. That's my 5th card in order. For some reason, 7 of spades reminds me of a beach in Aruba or Britney Spears. And so I'm associating 7 of spades with a mnemonic device, in this case, Britney Spears. And when I'm going through the memory in my brain, when I get to the 5th card, okay, 7 of spades, Britney Spears, 7 of spades. It helps with the recall. So there are people who can memorize phone books. There are savants. There are people on the autistic spectrum who have incredibly ingrained and prolific, not only imaginations but memory recall. But memory palace can be used to memorize a phone number, right? The 9 in your head, I'm thinking something blue. Okay, so 9 blue. Okay, let's put that in that room. Okay, my next number is 8. So you're representing complex concepts or numbers with simple words or phrases or visualizations. And I think about this all the time because I have a very strange memory in which I'm great at trivia, and everyone always says, all these useless facts. But really, I struggle with recalling basic things in the near past. And so something like the Memory Palace, which, like I said, there's a podcast called Memory Palace. There's a book by Nick DeMeo where he explores just more of the science of memory and what it means to remember and how we can create and fabricate memories. It's very interesting stuff. But the Memory Palace is something I've always come back to. Helps speed up the recall, and maybe for some of you, it's a useful tool. So build a palace, and then in each room, you're sort of storing away something, and you're representing something with something else that you can memorize more easily. That's the basic concept. So in 6 months, when I ask you what episode 71 was, build me a room, and then have some great association so you can remember, yes, episode 71, March 12th, memory. All right, my second thing, daylight savings. Okay, it's an easy target. It's an all too obvious punching bag. But here's my thing. After a week, it's over until it happens again in 6 months, right? It's something that is very easy to complain about in the near in the here and now, because it's just you're losing sleep. And for me, where I am in the Midwest, we just had a really, what I thought was perfect schedule, in which when I was waking up, it was daylight, and we had daylight on the back end of the day. It wasn't until 8 o'clock at night, but we had daylight until 6:45, 7 almost. And so I think the problem with falling with springing ahead is that you're losing something. We're yanking away an hour, and it's at the point where you're getting good daylight on both ends of the spectrum. Yes, now I'm waking up in darkness, but I do have daylight till like 7:45. I think the big thing to maximize the effects of daylight savings is to utilize and take advantage of the extra time of daylight. That's easier when it's nice and sunny. Today is one of those nice days. But anyway, that's my daylight savings thing. Like, also, it's a myth that it was for farmers. In fact, farmers were huge lobbyists against DST. So I did a little bit of research. I'll give you some facts instead of my just pontification here. Daylight savings, DST for short, originated in Europe during World War I as a way to save fuel and extend the workday. The United States adopted it in 1918, like I said, to conserve fuel and extend the workday. Those are things, right? World War II, it was reinstated in 1942, only until 1945, and then after the war, it kind of went away. And then 2005, the Energy Policy Act extended DST by starting it on the second Sunday in March and ending it on the first Sunday in November. So that's why it's observed. It has some historical roots, as do almost everything in times of war. It's observed in many countries. It looks like Australia, Great Britain, and Germany also have their versions of daylight savings time. If you go to Indiana, some counties do it, some don't. That's very confusing. Imagine living across the border of central time zones. I mean, not that that's a time zone problem, but it's exacerbated when you have daylight savings. So my big take on daylight savings is 54% of Americans want to get rid of it. That's not a huge majority. So at this point, it's Wednesday. Daylight savings happened on, I guess, Saturday night at 3 a.m. Hopefully no one was around to see that. It does stink to go from 9:59 a.m. to 11 a.m. in terms of like that morning and getting hungry earlier, but daylight savings, it's a punching bag. It's never going to change. It's not, guys. If I had a dime for every politician who mentioned daylight savings, I'd have at least $1.25. Let's just accept it and move on. I think we spend too much time lamenting it and not enough time just embracing the fact that we do get a little bit extra time outside. Although, I'll end with this, I do find it better, and the circadian rhythms of the natural human body, and every doctor I ever talked to, which is zero, will say it is more pleasant and easier to wake up with some ambient sunlight peeking through. Not, full sun, but it is nice to not wake up in total pitch black darkness. I know one person that listens to this pod has a very interesting work schedule in which they get up very early, so I would like to hear their take on if it even matters at all, frankly. All right, so that was number 2. My number 3 thing is we all do. We work with computers all day. We log into multiple websites, online banking, job applications, everything I would hazard a guess that you use a login and password for 10 to 15 unique things a day. Maybe you don't, maybe you do. I'm just speculating, right? Here's my concept on passwords. I like how you can autosave passwords or have Google generate cool ones, really long ones that you can't memorize. But I still have problems logging in. I reset passwords all the time. Maybe this is a me problem. I hope I'm not alone. I have a heck of a time with passwords. I'm constantly either running them on sticky notes or having the computer generate them, but then something happens where the one that's auto-generated doesn't work, which is super frustrating because I didn't even make the decision. I mean, I did, but I didn't make the password, and I'm locked out. Here's my ultimate goal. Maybe this exists, maybe it doesn't. I want to have a computer that is like a work or personal computer that you have in your possession. Not no cafe computers or ones you're logging in and logging out of. You have your computer that is near and dear to you. I want to log in once and have it be super hard in the morning, whether it's 2 passwords or a double certification verification process with my phone. I want it to be really hard, but I want it to be in a way where I'm logged into the computer and somehow the computer knows that for every website I go to, password gets auto-generated. It gets plugged in. It gets put in. So I'm not going through every site and putting in a password. Is this like any sense to you? To me, it makes a lot of sense. I want a computer where I do a really crazy login initially, and then throughout the course of the day, as long as I'm logged in, whether I go to pay a bill or to research something or to log into a business account or to do anything, even to play crossword puzzle and log into USA Today, I want it just to be there. And then when I log out of the computer, it's over, and then I go about my day. I don't know if this exists or not, if we're making any sense, but I just hate constantly having to type in passwords for what often is very trivial websites where, yes, I want some security, but I don't really care too much. I want to do the work up front. I want to log in and sort of just say, okay, go. And then whatever I do within that day or window of opportunity, the computer just puts the password in for me. That's my thought. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. I maybe didn't articulate that 100%, but my frustration is just resetting passwords, typing in passwords, memorizing passwords, making them long enough where I can't memorize them so they're secure. I don't know. Maybe this is a me problem, but I wanted to share my me problem with you at least because you're a captive audience. You can't go anywhere, except you can. So those are the 3 things today. Daylight savings. Let's just embrace the more daylight. That's my suggestion. And passwords. What a mess. And then we talked about the memory palace and sort of that interesting way of compartmentalizing facts and dates to hopefully help you recall them quicker and more accurately. I will see you tomorrow. Tell a friend, share, like, smash all the buttons. I will see you on the flip side.